βασιλιάς ηγείται από την πρώτη γραμμή. Σπαρτιάτες, ακολουθήστε με. Θα πολεμήσουμε μέχρι τέλους.
Alright, now we're going to do the second half of the video. This one is experimental and optional. It's going to be a lot of math, it's going to be a lot of numbers and figuring out calculations. And if that ain't your cup of tea and you want to shut off the video, well, it was great. Thanks for watching and enjoy. For the rest of you guys who want to stick around for a little bit longer, I'll show you some evidence and some calculations on how the things work, including a bit on stats, so that you can see yourself what I mean by when I say that Leonidas is better than Joan, and not just by a little bit, why it is very significantly better. I'm curious. This is going to be an optional part of the video. Give me feedback on it. Is this something you guys like, or is this something you want to see more of, or is this just extra noise, wasted time? With that, let's get to it. Comparison between two different armies. Imagine for a second there's you, free-to-play player, and there's someone else who is not, who is just light spender. If you were the free-to-play player and you went Richard, Boudica, which are both heroes you can get for free, and you went with Joan of Arc, and this is the army you locked in, versus someone who is a light spender who, let's say the only thing they got was Leonidas. So this is the army that I want to compare the two. Essentially, it is going to be entirely which is better, Leonidas versus Joan of Arc, and how much. Now to do that, I'm only going to measure the damage from their signature skill for now, as this skill here is relatively similar across both heroes. As a matter of fact, I'll do it this way. Or even better yet. So I'm going to compare these two heroes together. Okay. Now, one of the things with Joan of Arc is you can get Furious Retribution, which is the recovery one, but you can't get Whirlwind Sweep. You can get King's Blade, but that's nowhere near as good. That's a very different thing. I can explain that one a little bit, but Leonidas, you're going to get your signature skill plus Whirlwind Sweep. And so this is going to make a difference in damage. Well, the question becomes how much. So to do that, I'm going to first go over here, settings, character, and I created one at level 10, brand new account. It'll take a moment to load up. But in this brand new account, it's easier to compare the numbers because I don't have all the other modifiers and stuff like that, just to complicate things. So I'll be able to just do it straight from the numbers, which you'll be able to see in a second. Once it does its loading thing. Yeah, by the way, if you like this math part I'm about to do, please let me know. It's kind of a big, giant experiment. We'll see what happens with it. I like the math a lot, but it can make for boring videos. So, there we go. Now, if I were to go to Heroes, Legendary, oops, I need my mouse, Pikemen Warrior, Legendary Pikemen Warrior, and now I've got Joan of Arc here, and Leonidas down here. So we're going to go with these things here. So now they're all both level 1 and level 1 skills and nothing else on top. That's why I mean by it's going to be easier. So we're going to go bring, come on, there it goes, this guy here, my calculator. So in here I'm going to describe two things. If it's lowercase, that means it's a base something there. If it's an uppercase, which you can look over here, that means it's going to be a like a modified thing, something calculated, something that's there. So the first thing we need to do is figure out their base stats. So over here, might is going to be 80.8 with a 0.78. What does this mean? It means you have a base of 80.8 and a growth rate of 0.78. Maximum character level is going to be 120, which doesn't show right now. So that means that this thing here, because it's already level 1, will go up 119 times. So this times 119 together will get there. Now, once that happens, you get this thing here, which if all your heroes share a specialty, you get plus 30% stats. And you get this one here, which if they all share a unit type specialty, your first talent will double this. So they'll get 30 stats as well. So that means it's going to have a 1.6, 1.3 plus 0.3 modifier. So let's go here. First off, I want my might. So I'm going to set this one over to A so that I can use it easier later on. Equals brackets 80.8 plus 0.78 times 119, because we're already level 1. We don't need level 1. So my base might is going to be 173, but we need to times it by 1.6, just because of what I said there. So that means that our Joanne's base might is going to be 277. Now, if I were to click on might, skill effects, or sorry, every point of might increases the skill effects by 0.3. What this means is that if I've got 100 might, if this means I've got 333 might, then my ability would be twice as powerful. If it was say 100 base damage, and I got 333 might, it's now going to be a 200 base damage. If I had 666 might, it's going to be a 300 base damage. So that's going to be one of our first multipliers, and a really important one. So that one, I'm going to do it 2 ways. Guess I gotta get that down. Joan of Arc modifier. Woo. So the first one is his might. Now it's going to be his modifier. So this one here, I'm going to put as a capital A, just because of that thing. You'll see why it's easier in a minute here, but so this one here is going to be, if I were to put it in brackets, A, which, that's what I do. Up here, so that's the 277, is going to be A times 0.3. So it's going to be an 83%. Now we want to make this thing so that I can actually do math on it, but it would show up as a plus 83% modifier. So I'm going to actually first off go and push in 1 plus divided by 100. So it's the same number, 0.83, but now it's the number that if I take 100 times 1.83, I'll get something. So that is how we get both of our base might and our modifier. It's going to be lowercase a, which we won't use anymore, but a is going to be our modifier. It's going to be really important. So I've done the same thing with Leonidas, where it's, if I go over to Leonidas, his might 101.1 plus 0.9 times 119 times 1.6. So that's the first one. And one thing you might notice is that Joan of Arc has got 277 might. Leonidas has 333. Well, that's a fair bit difference. It's making a big difference. Leonidas' modifier, which is again the 1 plus b times 0.3, is going to be a 1.99. So basically this is 2 times. Whatever number we get, because it's very close to 333.3 there, is going to be essentially double. Joan of Arc had a 1.83, and Leonidas has a 1.999. How much of a difference is that going to make? Becomes a question. So let's go and grab Joan of Arc's signature. So Joan of Arc's signature right here, this is, okay, is just a very basic ability. Does one thing and nothing else particular. 20% chance to immediately counterattack. Deal might damage once to attacker. Damage rate is 23.7 to 34.76. Might bonus. Deals counterattack damage up to once per second. These 3 here are important. So 33 is going to be your base value for level 1. This is going to be the next level for level 2. and it has a might scaling. So this 0.33 number that we got here is a might bonus that applies here. So how do you calculate this? Oh, sorry, this is for Joan of Arc. Well, Joan of Arc is going to be, let's call this one, C. So C, and I need to move this over slightly, equals, so this is how you calculate these formulas. It's pretty simple. There is a difference for commander skill, but we won't get to that one in this video here. You take the higher number, so this is 33.76, or sorry, 34.76, okay, minus the lower number, 32.78. You have to do this in brackets, by the way. What this does is finds out how much growth is there from level 1 to 2. So each level per level is going to be 1.98. Okay. Now you need to times that by 39. There is 40 levels to the skill, but you're already level 1. So you don't need to count the level you're already at. So there's going to be 39 additional increases. So the total value is going to be 77. Cool. But then you need to add your bottom number again, which is going to be the second one here. 32.78. Basically, because you start here, then you go up 39 levels up, and equals 1 in 10. So Joan of Arc is going to have a base counter thing that's got a 20% chance to deal 110 damage at level 40. So that's nice. I will show you something else. 32.78, 34.78. If we go here and look at his, 32.78, 34.78, they actually have exact same base value. So that's going to make comparison pretty easy. At a base level, they do the same damage. But remember, the modifier is different, right? So that's going to be that one there. Now, how much is this worth? Joan of Arc, along with her modifier. Oops. Bring that down. So if she's got this modifier of 1.8, and her signature does this much damage, and little c is what we called it, what would capital C look like then? C equals, and this is a really difficult formula. You ready? C times B. That's it. It just takes the value of your skill, times it by the modifier sorry. This would probably make more sense if I do it slightly different, so I'm going to do that. Equals B times little c. Same thing, I just switched the order around. And the reason I did that is because now it's actually in the line of, you've got your, oh no, I'm just making this more needlessly complicated. Equals C times B. Okay, yeah, I'm just making that more complicated. Let's just pretend I never said that. You've got your skill damage, 110, times your multiplier. So that's what the total is going to come out to. Now, if you go and do that thing, now, Joan of Arc has 110. Leonidas has a 200. That's why it didn't make sense. Okay, I figured it out. A. That's where my problem was. Joan of Arc was A. Leonidas was B. So sorry, I did make that more confusing than it had to be. It is, Joan of Arc is A. Whereas Leonidas is B. So there's a difference of about 18 points. Doesn't seem like much right now, right? So now the problem comes into here, when your troops units fall below 50%, increases your damage dealt by 1.8 to your might bonus. Okay, we're not going to deal with the bonus damage towards tribes because that's not PvP and who cares. But this one is important. So if you fall below half health, how much damage is that going to be? Well, let's call that F. Oops, that's F equals. I can't quite see. I just have no idea where I just sent that. Cool. That'll work. F is going to be, and again, we go into brackets, and 1.58, take the larger number, minus lower number, 1.49, which is going to be a 0.9 difference, times 39, because that's what it's going, that my skill level, plus 1.49. Okay, so going up by level plus the base value equals 5. If it comes out to an even number, that probably means you did it right. If it comes out to some long number, with a few exceptions, it probably means you did it wrong. But this is a 5 with a might bonus. So if F equals that, then capital F is going to equal, let me just, again, where we go lowercase f times 0.3. Oh, sorry, I'm doing this wrong. I got two formulas. F times B. And I will explain here again. F times B is going to be F here, which is going to be this little guy here, times B, which all the way at the top is Leonidas' modifier, which is essentially a double one, right? So that means F times B equals here. So instead of 5, the actual value, the actual multiplier of this is 9.8. So what do you do with this? Go over here. This is called F, right? Go over here times F. I made a mistake. That came out all the way wrong. This is still in the percentage as we say it. This is where I have to do the 1 plus divided by 100. And now that brings it to a 1.099, which is what we want. Because now this thing, I can actually read with my thing, and it comes out to a 241. So because you have this modifier at the bottom, this is the difference it's making. 241. Now we're up to 40 points of difference. And okay, that's more substantial. Unfortunately, Leonidas also has one more thing. And that is whirlwind sweep. Okay, this thing will stack up, starts at turn 1, and then 5 more seconds. So if we go 1 plus 5, oops, sorry, 1 plus 6 times 4. So it's going to take, that's a 5. It's going to take 25 seconds for this thing to reach maximum. So by the time you're half health and 25 seconds have passed, you're going to get a total of this rank here, 13.06 times 6. Oops. Times 5. Because it's going to stack up 5 times. So this is going to be a 63. Now, let's call this one G, because that's just the next letter, equals here. But this is, again, a percentage, and we need to... I just did not mean to do that. And we need to change this thing over to something I can use mathematically. So again, it's going to be 1 plus, put that in brackets, divided by 100. So it's going to be 1 itself, whatever its number is, times 1.65. So what do we do with that one? Well, we'll go back up here and times it by G. That's the difference that makes. Now we are going from a 200 to a 400. Okay, let me really highlight this thing here. 200 to 400. This is Joan of Arc's signature damage because she does not have any stacking modifiers, versus Leonidas after his stacking modifiers are included. They will literally double his damage versus Leonidas. Or sorry, versus Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc is doing 200 kills. Leonidas is doing 400 kills. If you've got Joan of Arc in your lineup and you come across someone who's got Leonidas, you're not just a little bit weaker than them. You're a lot weaker. Now, this is actually just this, which is where I want to stop with the math. But this isn't as bad as it gets. Let's take this, put it to the side again, because you see, if you go back to the heroes themselves, Joan of Arc, when you start starring her up, would you get a fair few? Yes. +1, +1, +1.5, +2, +2. So 1, 1, 1.5, 2, 2. But Leonidas, once you start putting stars on him, +2, +2.5, +3, 3.5, +4. Okay, this is twice as much might coming from your stars as what Joan of Arc gets. He just gets more. What's worse, increases the damage rate of Undying Soul's counterattack damage by 15%. Okay. Joan of Arc, first star, increases the damage rate of Victory of Banished, so very similar. Counterattack damage by 5%. Their first star ability literally does the same effect, but nothing. So, but it, Leonidas is more powerful. So if I were to go and change Joan of Arc, her signature, and just go +5, now it's 115. Nice and simple. And now I go and change Leonidas' signature. Did I put that in the wrong? Oh. And I add +15. Okay, 125. So, curious question. 115 versus 125. How much of a difference would 10 points make? Right? Like, serious question. How much damage difference would 10 points make? Well, if we look, your damage went up to 210. So it went up a little bit, but now you're up to 454. This is worth of 50 points just from that little bit here. So 450, if I go that thing is like 50 points, which is like 15% increase. It's a huge damage increase. Whereas this one, because she has so few modifiers, 210, if I just got rid of the +5, is 201. It was worth 9 points there. Leonidas, his was worth an extra 50. Yours was worth, or Joan of Arc's was worth 9 for the first star upgrade. And it's really telling. When you go and you look, +5. +15. And those are the numbers I put in front of you. Do you want Joan of Arc? I'll even make this a bit bigger. And I can't fit them all in. Oh well. When I go, do you want Joan of Arc? Or do you want Leonidas? This is at 1 star. The difference is massive. It just gets worse. Why does it get worse? Because, and I can get rid of. The reason it gets worse is because Joan of Arc gets an extra 10% here and gets an activation chance of 4%. Those are not big numbers. Leonidas, this is a 4%. Her capstone is as powerful as his 3 star. Okay? This one here gives you 15%, whereas Joan of Arc, both 5 plus 10 is 15%. Her first 3 stars combined is worth less than Leonidas's, or is worth as much as Leonidas's first star alone. Her entire tree is worth as much as Leonidas's 3rd star. And on top of all of that, Leonidas gets that, which is so phenomenally huge. You see this 5% to 15%? Want to know how much difference that makes? So we went and did our math, and we've got this one here, right, which is your base might and your skill damage, which was 125, plus your 5% here, plus your 65% for here. If we take the 5% from F, see this is right here, and we go and just plus 110, so now it's 15 instead of 5. Well, now this jumps up to 537. What you're looking at right here is this versus this. It's a little bit different, but because Joan of Arc also gets... Okay, fine, you know what? I'll include that. And I did it again. Get back here. So she also gets that, which is, to her credit there. But this is the number value here. This is the difference. Okay? This thing went up from 450 to 530. That was an 80 points difference. That was worth 20% damage increase total. Because remember, you have double might, and this is a might scaling. So your damage didn't go up by 10%, it actually went up by 20. And this is an increase of 20% damage across the board for your entire hero. It's just straight up, flat up 20% extra damage, which is huge. Leonidas just has a lot of modifiers, and Joan of Arc has almost none. This is why, this is highlighting just how significant a difference it is. It's also interesting because this is what I do when I do math. These are the things I find out that normally never get a chance to tell anybody. If this interests you to see this, then yeah, let me know. Now, that's all said, you do have the option of not going for Joan of Arc and just pretending she never exists, and you can instead go for Frederick, who does a huge amount and is like a absolutely high quality, top class hero himself, and one of the staples in for the army. You go from literally the worst champion in the game, the worst hero in the entire game, to one of the best ones. Do you want to play using the worst, or do you want to actually do the one trick required to use the best? This is why I say you have to do this thing if you want to play free-to-play pikemen, because if you don't and you're using Joanne, like I can't even describe just how far behind you are. It's always going to feel like losing. And if I can avoid that, if I can help you avoid that, that'd be awesome. But yeah, thanks for going with that through me. If you're watching this, that means you sat through the whole thing, and thank you very much for watching it from beginning to end. I'm the professor. I'm the guy who teaches. I just love a chance to sit down and explain things and teach and whatnot. If you want to find me, go to my Discord. I created it specifically for this game, but there's nobody on there yet. I got no one to talk to and to share with. So come and join me. Just also, thank you kindly for watching.